Hey you guys, so before I get into today's message, the moment that I turned my camera on, I realized that I done got a whole sunbird out here in these California streets. So I started my day out doing deliveries, not realizing that the Lord was going to summons me to a 6-mile hike. And so after 3 hours long spending some alone time with God in the sun with no sunscreen, then yeah, that's the outcome. But don't be like me. Keep your sunscreen on you at all times. On another note, I am by no means a Bible scholar, but I am learning more and more about the different stories and different people in the Bible, and I'm becoming more familiar with them. So I came across this message today that was speaking on the story of Gideon, and it referenced Judges chapter 7, I believe. And I'm familiar with this story. I knew that Gideon was chosen by God, and when God came to him to let him know he was chosen, Gideon had every excuse as to why he wasn't qualified. But I didn't know that the Lord basically gave Gideon an assignment. He sent him and his men into battle against the Midianites, and Gideon was like, okay, God, say less. Because it seemed as if the odds were in his favor, because Gideon had an army of like 20,000 men. So they definitely outnumbered the Midianites. But God was like, you know what? On second thought, that's a little too easy, and I don't need for you and or your men to think for 1 second that you got this victory within your own might and within your own strength. So he says, how about you go to your men? If any of them are afraid to go in battle, send them home. So that's what Gideon does. And then he comes back to the Lord, and God is like, you know what? It's still too many men. That's still too easy. He was like, so, okay, I'm going to reduce your men down. He reduces his army down to 300 men, and he assures Gideon that he's going to come and rescue them. And I'm sure Gideon was probably like, God, I hear what you're saying. But yeah, like, it seemed like you trying to set me up for failure, because at this point you're sending me into what appears to be an impossible situation. And that made me think about an assignment that the Lord gave me over a year ago. And just like Gideon, I was excited when the Lord first came to me, because it seemed as if the odds were in my favor. But the moment I began to run into opposition, the moment it got so challenging, the moment that the details changed and the things that God said was not the things that I was experiencing or seeing before my eyes, I'm like, yeah, no, God, this seems impossible. But now that I'm watching this story about Gideon, I realized that God wanted to ensure that he was going to get the glory. So he had to change up the details to make sure that people were aware that it was only by his might and his strength that they got the victory and that they reached the outcome that he said they would. So that's the word I got for you guys on today. My name is Caressa. I love you guys. Until next time.